Hello, today I'd like to talk about Gone Home, and Gone Home isn't a horror game, although I think they have a mode where you can turn on all the lights or something if you think it's too scary. Um, but Gone Home is sort of very interesting from a narrative and game design perspective. So I know Gone Home came out a while ago, so I think it's safe to have Gone Home spoilers. So first spoiler: the house is empty. There's no one home. But Gone Home is sort of it's interesting because I mean, some people accuse it of a walking simulator and of not being a game, and I don't really think those criticisms are accurate, because if you take Gone Home and you say, oh, it's a narrative and here's the narrative, it's not like super interesting. I'm not trying to say that it tells a bad story, but you know, it tells a story that's been told numerous times, and I guess, you know, the idea of it being a lesbian love story and self-discovery as a teen. I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm sure there's similar lesbian love stories, but I mean, the basic premise, the coming of age tale, you know, high school drama, finding love, blah, blah, blah. I mean, none of those elements are particularly unique and amazing. Which is not to say it's not well written or well done, although maybe it's just me, but I guess I'm so cynical. I'm like, their romance will never last. They're stupid kids. They're ruining their lives, but that's probably just me. I'm probably the only person who was like, darn kids, it'll never last. Yeah. But ignoring that, I think what's more important is how the story is presented and how effective it is by being in an interactive media. Because if you just read the notes, you know, if it's just like a bunch of text, I don't think it would be that amazing. I don't think it would have, you know, gotten as much critical acclaim as it did, and certainly I don't think I would have really enjoyed it. But I think part of it is the act of discovery is interesting, and there's almost this tension as you play. Like, what's going on? What's going on? That's what I kept asking myself when I was playing. And so I think that sort of adds something to the story, because I mean, like, if it's just words on a page, right, you're reading it in a short story collection, then you know what's going to happen next. You just keep reading and then you'll find out. But the sort of active discovery, I think, really enhanced what they were trying to do and put more tension in it. And I mean, you know, there's a few situations in movies or books where I feel like, oh, I want to just skip ahead and see what happens. And, you know, I guess you can do that. Certainly, usually you don't, because you can say, oh, you know, there's 3 pages to that, or, you know, there's X minutes to, you know, the game's, to the movie's resolution. You know, I always check the time if I'm like, what's going on? When will I find out? Check the time on the movie, and then you have a good idea of when you will. But with a game where you're sort of in the driver's seat, you don't have that ability, and so it's kind of cool. It kind of creates this tension, and I think another thing about Gone Home that was really special, I mean, and really sort of aided the narrative and made it more of a game, is the world that you were exploring. I mean, I think they picked a really great setting for the game, because I like exploring a house a modern house, I mean, isn't overly interesting, right? You see a bunch of cell phones and USB chargers and I don't know, boxes from Amazon. I have boxes from Amazon in my in my office right here. I'm just randomly picking objects in my site. That's not interesting, but the nostalgic feeling of X-Files VHS tapes. Oh, I had VHS tapes of X-Files and the Super Nintendo, and they talk about lending the Super Nintendo cartridges, and this was before digital distribution and Steam family sharing and stuff. I mean, I almost think that's more of sort of a visually rich environment. I mean, certainly I am a lover of physical goods, and like here's some games, some boxed copies. But I'm sure in a few years, it's just going to be me with things like this. And soon, everyone will have very minimalist, all my stuff is on my iPod, all my stuff is on my, computer, does anyone use iPods anymore? It's all phones and whatnot. Anyway, but my point is that physical goods, at least for media, ebooks, I have a ton of books on bookshelves, but, ebooks, MP3s, digital music, digitally distributed games. I mean, that will make a less visually rich setting, and I don't know what people will store in their houses once they, don't have to store, their copy of Night Trap on the Sega 32X. But, I mean, I guess we'll find out, and certainly I'm a collector, and I hold on to digital goods. I mean, physical goods, and I will be, you'll have to claw them out of my cold, hard corpse. I still have a bunch of audio CDs. I'm the last guy buying audio CDs or records. I have a bunch of music on vinyl. But I mean, that's something sort of visually rich, and almost it's a way to communicate something about a person. Like, for example, what music do I like? And I think they did a good job of that with, like, the Riot Girl movement, and they licensed actual, like, Riot Girl music, which I didn't really enjoy the music, but I thought that it worked really well with the narrative, and I mean, the sort of scene, and I remember people like that, it worked really well. So now I feel like I'm sort of sort of getting off topic here, but I think the Gone Home worked really well, and I think they made really intelligent decisions about creating a world and an atmosphere, and then a story that worked in that in the context of that. And I know, I mean, at least for me, and something we're trying not to do, Neverending Nightmares, is the audio recordings and the notes and stuff, because I mean, it seems a little suspect. I remember someone was criticizing BioShock Infinite for, why would, Lady Comstock have a recording in some random room explaining, the meaning of whatever. I mean, certainly in Gone Home, I feel like they did a better job of sort of integrating it into the world. But still, I mean, it is a little suspect. Especially the way they guide you through the narrative as you discover the elements. But I mean, I think to some extent it doesn't really matter, because it was so well done. I think we can learn a lot, about narrative design and about atmosphere from Gone Home. And I mean, certainly, I think to me, I would say the most important thing about Gone Home was the atmosphere, and I would say that the same thing of Neverending Nightmares is true. It's really the atmosphere that makes the game, and I think, you know, that's something that is, you know, putting someone in a place is the real advantage of an interactive medium, and I think it was really helpful for Gone Home, and certainly is, you know, it makes our game Neverending Nightmares. So anyway, I probably rambled on about Gone Home, but I totally probably ruined it for you. But if you hadn't played it, it's definitely worth playing. So, thanks for watching.